Hey everybody, welcome to Phantom Files. I'm
Phantom
Jason.
Files.
This is Kyle.
I'm that guy.
And these are our guests tonight, Durham Paranormal,
Welcome,
Angel,
guys.
and Ruth. Thank you.
Hi guys.
Hello, good
Hi.
evening.
Awesome. Beautiful to have you guys here. So, would you mind first and foremost just give a brief little overview of what you guys do at Durham Paranormal? What's your MO? What do you guys get up to?
We're really interested in the history of old properties, houses and parks and cemeteries. So we usually visit them. And since we're interested in the paranormal, we can get more information about the spirits in those homes or areas.
Awesome.
Definitely. So our main our main topic of the day we'll get to is mostly around equipment because that's something that you guys are absolutely specialized in. You want to tell us kind of just a quick little bit about what you do? What kind of got you into tinkering? Have you been into electronics for a while, or is it just kind of a you know?
So yeah, we both have backgrounds in engineering. So once you start looking at equipment, and you know how equipment is supposed to work, or you know the basics, the fundamentals on the equipment, and that's kind of like what makes it more interesting and got us really into the equipment. We both our backgrounds in engineering and interest in the paranormal, right? Always is trying to get that elusive evidence, right? Trying to capture what you can sense because there's no way of explaining that feeling, right? So you getting those equipment and the more the technology it's advancing and we just keep tinkering and messing around, and by we mostly Angel.
So you mentioned, how technology advances. Not only does the technology advance, but the price in the technology skyrockets. What is some of the basic inexpensive equipment that you guys trust that basically anybody could get their hands on?
As basic as we can go is just the K2 meter, which is,
The EMF
yeah,
detector?
Yep,
yes, EMF
EMF
detector.
detector.
K2, they're affordable and easy to get. And if you're lucky, you're in the right place, you can get some activities with it. So, or at least some confirmation.
All right.
Right.
So,
Definitely.
speaking of the K2 meter, I got another question about that. There are a lot of people that say that it's not a K2 meter unless it costs at least $60 and has this sticker on it. Is that true in your expertise?
Now, the all of the equipment that you use or that we're trying to utilize that is normally called, like, the term ITC or instrumental transdimensional communication. It's equipment that it's normal equipment, right? And an EMF detector, it's an EMF detector. The functionality of the equipment is the same. We are trying to use them for things that are not normal, right? Like an EMF detector, we normally would be used to detect a electromagnetic field around a piece of equipment for maintenance or any other predictive equipment. Now you're using it in a place where there shouldn't be an electromagnetic field to detect that spike. So it doesn't really matter branding. It is the functionality of the equipment is the same.
And I'm not super big on electronics necessarily the actual bits there, but I'm just kind of curious. Like, what do you think besides branding aside? Are there any? Could maybe they be using like any special capacitors or anything, any specific parts that may be quote unquote better, but not necessarily functionally better?
They, I think a lot of that has to do with who made the equipment. Because when the person is making the equipment, like when Angel is working on the radios and spirit boxes and all that, there's a lot of tinkering that goes with what gives you the best result, right? So like
Yeah.
you can, change components and change different parts of it to get a better audio, a better output, but the functionality of the equipment is essentially the same.
Okay. So, seeing how Angel that you make equipment, what is so far your favorite thing that you've worked on, that you've made?
Well, my favorite is the ghost radio that I call it, the
Okay.
portal. Yeah, it's the one that takes me the longest to figure it out, but the results are amazing. So,
Awesome. How exactly does that work? I've seen you use it in person a few times, um, and as a guitar player, I instantly recognize it is a guitar amp with a few stomp boxes. So what exactly are you trying to, like, frequency wise? Are you trying to boost and scoop and try to get into when you're using that to to look for any paranormal response?
yes, typically the portal has a noise canceling because we're using a scanning radio, which do it at accelerated pace.
You'll
So
get interference, right?
Yeah.
okay, so we're getting the radio scanning at a fast speed, and then we need to cancel some of that noise.
Yeah.
All
So
of the
you're
white noise, not
white
completely.
noise canceling.
Yes.
Yeah.
After that signal goes through a reverb, which give you kind of like a echoish sound, and you can add different like delays or pitch, depending on what you're working on. So
Okay.
that give you enough time so your signal comes through and it stay there long enough so you can hear the words coming out. I mean, doesn't mean that
Okay.
every single word you cannot make a story out of it that is a spirit talking to you. But when you ask a question and you get a response that is relative, to what are you asking, then you can say, okay, I'm getting some information back.
Okay.
Awesome. So yeah, funny you mentioned ITC because that was literally the first docket on the bill here. We're going over that. So
Was the definition of ITC.
exactly.
Because there's a lot of
Awesome.
people that don't understand what ITC meant. And even when I first started doing paranormal investigations, I didn't understand what ITC meant. But I would see it on apps, I'd see it on the spirit boxes. It would say uh, SB7 ITC, whatever. So I had to look that up and figure out what that actually was. That was brand new to me, and I'm always learning. Um, so speaking of the apps and the Ghost Radio, the apps on the Play Store. We
Phone
get some people that
applications. Yeah.
on your phone. Um, some people say that they actually work and they give you the voices of the dead, of the deceased. Some say they don't. There's some people in between. What's your opinion on them?
Because I firmly say no.
I have a healthy dose of skepticism of those apps because and we were talking about that actually yesterday when we're looking at the equipment. Uh, the basic principle of like the spirit boxes and the ghost radio and all of that, you're using a radio frequency scan, so there's white noise that it's used to, or the theory is that the spirits can manipulate that to communicate. I do not know what the programmer put in that app, and that's where my healthy dose of skepticism comes, right? It can be a database of words that has a randomized generator to spit out words in any order, in any kind of. There are apps that basically function as a spirit box. So there are apps that function as a radio, and you can connect those to a portal and amplify and do all of the other stuff. So the ones that actually have the white noise and scanning frequencies, I'm more leaning towards those. The ones that are a database of words, not so much.
Yeah.
But that's me. I don't know, he likes apps sometimes.
I know there are a few that we have personally tested as well as Angel. That when we were sitting basically where we are now, but had our phone away from the computer or anything else, that would literally spit out a word every 20, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, this is BS.
It was definitely on a recurring time period.
But
not
yeah,
random.
there's some apps that you can start picking up on patterns,
Yeah.
You put it in different locations and you kind of like start getting same things, and you're like,
Yes.
I don't think so.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I keep it as a backup because not always where we go there is enough signal or signal strength. I mean, you
Yeah.
go to a solid building like concrete walls or something.
Or like the battleship when you couldn't get a radio signal
Oh
downstairs.
yeah.
Yes, so at least use the app to see if we can get something through.
Yeah.
Yeah, just an alternative.
That's definitely a good alternative.
Now, speaking of that, though, what have you found? Because obviously, if you're tinkering with everything, you know how all the signals come through, what to look for. What would you say are some telltale signs that people could manipulate results like this or misinterpret things in a different way that's not intended?
And we don't necessarily just mean with the apps, but we also mean with the other
With
devices. Like with the K2 meter, you can walk past an unshielded wire, you may not see it, but it will go off.
Yeah, I mean, for example, the rampart is one of them instrument that people like to use because I mean, you got the antenna, you got the temperature, but there are many variables that can affect this. Somebody with a phone, there is temperature changes. This is like a capacitor, so something get close, obviously you will not be able to see it. It will go off, and you say, "Oh, we got spirit in here," but it's actually not.
I mean, it's dark. It can be a bug. It can be anything.
Exactly.
oh, true.
So not only that, but from my understanding from talking with other people that use the REM pod, that there are ways to manipulate it intentionally, like with a two-way radio, basically sending a signal back and forth. It could manipulate that.
Yeah, you can interfere with the signals, and that's that's the downside of using equipment that is sensitive to radio frequencies and electromagnetic frequencies, is that they can be interfered with. Um, Cell phones is it's one that it's the most obvious one, right? You forgot to put your phone in airplane mode before you started doing your investigation, right? It's constantly there. Wires, Wi-Fi, especially when you go to locations that are also active locations using during the day for any other reason, whether it's museums or stuff like that, right? If there's an office, they have a Wi-Fi router somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So those are things to kind of like look for and try to debunk or prove that it was not interference, and kind of like always believe, but have a touch of skepticism.
Yes, and I got here in my hand something that is very similar with a look what it is a rampart. So
There we go.
if you see it, something as a adjustment on the sensitivity, it will make it go off, and you will
Okay.
say, "Oh, I got action." Actually, it's not. It's just I adjust the sensitivity. So I take sensitivity out, it will not go off. So can they be manipulated? Of course they can. They're electronic devices.
Now, do you think some of these charging $60 for a K2 meter, some of these places may be selling manipulated boards? You think some of them may have some sensitivity increases or a little bit of extra radio?
I mean, can it be done?
It can be done. But
Yeah.
other than opening up and messing with it, there's no way of really knowing. But yeah, it can be.
That might be an interesting
I've already done
experiment.
that with EMF detector. I've got 7 of them at home, so I can just grab one and we can do it one night. But usually it has just a small PCB board with a 9-volt battery inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, not much electronics to it for sure.
So, do you have any ideas, protocols, or procedures that you would put in place as a team leader, as someone that creates these devices, that would help reduce false positives, that would help reduce
Just
manipulation?
manipulation or contamination, essentially, of the evidence. how do you sterilize the field in medical terms for paranormal research?
Yeah, investigation best practices, if we could call it like that.
Yes.
You know,
That's
it's
great.
That's actually a good term. I would like to. I'm gonna steal that.
investigation best practices. Um, yeah, I mean, you want to keep it not chaotic, right? Like if you have 3, 5 people in your team, right? If you're using, for example, the spirit box or portal, there's a delay, right? So if you ask a question and then someone else asks a question and then someone else asks a question, it's chaos, right? You need to give some time. Um, Also, kind of like be aware of like things that are clearly radio signals. Like even when the radio is scanning at a high frequency, so you technically get very little actual radio signal, but you can recognize it where it's an ad or it's a piece of a song, right? That's
Yeah.
stuff like that. Being aware of your surroundings and how, like if you're in a group in a big area, like be aware that what can interact with other teams investigation.
And creating like a baseline. So let's take our meters, K2 meters. Let's go room by room to see if they go off, and then we can make sure that when you put it there, you know already there is something that will interfere later.
Definitely. Very important
And
to get a baseline. Yeah. Go,
yeah,
go ahead.
there's no need to like speak always like hush hush, right? But be aware of like if someone is recording or if you like touch something, knock something, make it clear, so if someone else is recording, it's like, oh yeah, no, that was me, I bumped into something.
Yeah.
Sometimes sounds weird, but like what you wear to an investigation, it can contaminate evidence. If you have tinkling stuff on you,
Don't wear a windbreaker because you'll rub up against it. You'll hear it all over the place.
Yeah. Sometimes like your clothes, your shoes, like if you're wearing it can, especially when you're using very sensitive recorders, you didn't hear it and then you think like, oh my god, like no, that was just bangling my wrist bracelet, something like that. So,
or you might hear like a stomach gurgle and mistake it for a
Wow.
spirit.
Yeah.
Oh my god, there was a demon, that was a growl. No, it was just your stomach, you were hungry.
Yeah, we remember that one.
Yeah. Yeah, we came across something like that. That happened. All right. So, Angel, are there any devices you're currently working on?
I got a few new ones that I'm working. It's like a EMF detector with a LED display. Not, it's not a display, it's like lights. It's kind of like a same concept of a K2 meter, but measure static, not
Okay.
electromagnetic.
So a static electricity detector.
Yes.
Okay. So I've
Nice.
seen a couple of those where basically it's like a sundial with some sort of light off of each side, and basically if it's static electricity from one side or another, that particular light will light up.
Yes.
Okay.
Then, and I'm waiting for some parts so we can finally build the Boo Bear, the actual
Yeah.
pot. I'm gonna call it Bear
Not
pot.
Bear pod. We're gonna call it bear pod.
Yeah, you gotta call it something else. You can't. That name's taken.
Yeah, and a few things that I always thinking and trying
Improving.
to make something cool to use it or test it in the field.
Awesome.
And he's always improving what he was already done, right? Like the music boxes and all of his always constantly like tinkering, making it, smaller, more powerful, all of the he's always
I'm
tinkering.
always seeing stuff on TikTok from other investigators that have actually bought equipment that Angel has created, and they're always like, "Yeah, this is great, great reviews," and that they love Angel's equipment.
It works.
Yeah, for us, it definitely has. I know we
Very
had
well.
a music box that Angel had built, and it worked phenomenally until all of our equipment got stolen.
Justice for equipment.
Yeah, justice for equipment.
If you like that one, you're gonna love the new one I'm building for you. So
Oh, okay.
Did you-
Well,
my.
I'm bending the wrong way, but that's okay. Thank you, Angel. Angel, you are very amazing. Like I love that you are putting your skills to use, building equipment, and not just equipment, but affordable equipment for people that are out there just getting into the paranormal. That have the basic equipment like cat balls and K2 and a camera and whatever, and they're wanting to get something that's a little bit more advanced, like the music boxes or REM pods
Yep.
or your ghost oh gosh,
Radio.
your ghost radios. Like it is fantastic that you are doing that. I do have to
Yes.
tell you, you have to pay yourself though, dude. You gotta charge a little bit more.
And his manager.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
That's good stuff.
So, all right, Ruth, what is one of your favorite devices that either you guys have purchased third party or that you and Angel have developed?
I mean, definitely his radio. It's one of my favorite things. But as investigating devices, quote unquote, my favorite lately has been the Estes method.
Okay, so using a spirit
Using the
box
spirit
and
box.
just doing sensory deprivation by putting a blindfold over your eyes and
Yep.
headphones on so that way only you can hear.
Yep. And
Right.
the main reason is, scientific background on mind and engineering mind, you eliminate bias, right? So you can never say that everything is 100% accurate, but that's a method that, in my opinion, you do not have confirmation bias. Meaning, I do not hear the question when I'm on there. I'm just telling you what I'm hearing.
Yeah, you're just
And
repeating the response.
right. And hearing the response can be subjective also because you're hearing white noise and maybe a word or two, but if you get something like we're saying that it's relevant, then you can say, okay, this probably was communication, but you're eliminating that bias because you're not hearing or seeing anything outside. So lately that's kind of one of my favorite things to use. And yeah, definitely the radios. The mini REM pod, the story behind the REM pod, that the first one he built it for me, and it was like, I'm gonna put it a pink LED because that's your REM pod. So that's my
Yeah.
favorite, is my REM pod.
See, do you see the pink EMF, the pink K2?
Oh.
It's a little too light to see, but
It's
yes.
very light, but it is pink.
We're thinking on ways of
And
how to make
I'm
them.
gonna print one of the stand for you in pink. So
This pen
Oh,
is-
beautiful.
Actually, dude, that looks about the same color.
Right?
About the same shade of pink.
This is actually something that is very interesting, and it's an inexpensive way also, going back to sanitizing your environment. This holds the K2 meter stable.
Yeah.
In a position that it doesn't bump and move, and so.
Not only that, but it holds it vertical so that way you can actually see what lights are going off, and you could put multiple out and keep them and see if all of them light up or just one.
Mhm.
That is a really that is a really fantastic accessory because that eliminates a lot of all of those extra factors from
And
that.
I've seen someone else creates the little cat ball stands.
yeah,
Those-
we got some too.
Yeah, I think those are fantastic as well because they'll keep it up off the ground
Mhm.
and it'll keep it from basically
Ah.
rolling. But if it vibrates, you'll
Yeah.
see it.
That would have been really handy at the tramping ground.
That would have been.
I think that would have changed our results quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, cat balls are fun.
Yeah. I
But
remember when
they-
you could actually get them from pet stores and they were inexpensive.
Well, now everything that is
Using the paranormal.
using the paranormal, people are increasing the prices to
Yeah.
profit
Yeah.
from it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're price gouging or surge pricing
Pretty
things.
sure cats will protest for that.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So, is there any one piece of device or one device that you would like to make in the future that you have not created?
Great question. I
aside
was
from
about to
the
ask
Boo
that.
Bear that you spoke of?
Um, yes, I'm thinking of an equipment that will measure like I think we talked about before, measure like temperature, humidity, all these variables, and then
Yeah,
if we can put on a room and get some kind of like interaction, so we can go to the equipment and see it is temperature related. It was pressure. I mean, what changed that made that thing go off?
So
yeah,
like an environmental recorder.
yeah.
Yes.
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
or
I know
all
we've
in
been talking
one.
about that for a
Yeah.
while. It's like a data logger, but it's
Mhm.
also like a weather station, to
Yeah.
be honest. And in and of itself, that is something that I've been looking at to bring along with us. So,
More data.
the
That's what I
Data.
love.
the more data
Hmm.
you have, the easier it is to corroborate or disprove something.
Mhm. Yeah.
Definitely.
What about you, Ruth? Is there any device that you currently don't have that you wish you did?
Hmm. I mean, I kind of want the lights, the trip wires. Those are. I told Angel like, you can do that. I believe in you, honey. You can do it. I think he can. I think he can do tripwire, but that would be after the bear. Yeah.
I'm definitely interested in both of those projects myself.
Heck yeah, I like the idea of it. Those seem really interesting to put together. I'm just kind of
Yeah, I
very
mean,
curious of how they
trying to
actually
yeah,
make
trying to
it
figure
work.
out the the operating principle behind it, right? And then how do you? That's the starting point, and then just tinkering with parts.
Yeah.
Oh,
But lately we acquired this recorder,
Okay.
which is this is
Oh,
yes.
that's we're actually trying to find one too.
this is
It is
amazing. I
amazing.
mean, it's knocks out of the park my two other ones. Like the even the affordable one that you can buy
Yeah.
in Amazon is it's really good. But when you go
Is
to this step, it's just blows your mind away.
yeah, is that a dual channel or does that have multiple channels aside from
4 channels.
four? Okay.
Yeah, if you
So
are an external,
that's the H4N
Mm-hmm.
something.
yes,
H4N. Yeah,
yes,
Yeah. I know
this is the
I
pro. Yeah,
it's amazing. First time I heard something with that, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I mean,
You
they're as a musician. Sorry to cut you off. I was saying, as a musician, they were created and have been used for years, essentially as bands would use them to record rehearsals. So they have been well tested and well used in a variety of scenarios, everything from concerts to orchestras and everything. So I absolutely believe in them. They have fantastic qualities to most of them.
it's something I actually plan to pick up soon.
Mhm.
and the range is insane. Like I hear footsteps of someone who was 40 feet away from me.
Oh wow, that's fantastic.
Good mics. Yeah,
Very good
fantastic
mics.
mics. Definitely.
it's a good thing to have, but at the same time, somebody can mess up your recording.
Yeah.
You
I mean, what I said, like the number one rule about when you're doing these investigations is it's a waiting game. It's a game of patience, and
Like fishing,
so
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, so it's like fishing, yeah. But if you get too
Night fishing.
excited and are moving around, and it's gonna contaminate everything. So you have to be there and just wait.
I know our first time at the Devil's Tramping Grounds, seeing seeing a REM pod go off totally just blew my mind because we're out there in the middle of the woods. I'm not expecting this to actually go off. I'm not expecting anything to interact with it. But next thing I know, we got like 3 or 4 lights going off, and I'm going crazy. I'm like, oh my god! But that just lends itself to my inexperience using the equipment, my lack of knowledge of how things can be manipulated by the environment as well.
Well, there's like the universal reaction of every paranormal investigation, the
Think
oh
so,
my
right?
god, right? Like it doesn't matter how many times you got evidence, how many different places you've been, like you see it interact, and it's like, yeah, you always get excited about that.
Yes.
All right. So, what do y'all think of the SLS cam?
Oh, that's another project you're starting to figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a really cool idea. Can some object maybe reflect as a figure? Yes, but I mean,
We'll figure out once we have one working prototype.
yeah.
I know there's an app that you can use that simulates the same thing. Again, just like with the other apps, you have to use it with a grain of salt because you don't really know if there's something programmed in to just go, hey, look, there's a figure now.
Yeah, and phone cameras also use a lot of software tricks to manipulate the image too. So whatever it's looking for is probably might not show up. You look like you're bursting to say something.
Well, there's we were at a, I don't even remember. Kind of like a museum thing. It was like some tourist thingy, and they had like a finding ghost thing, right? And you use your phone and you scan, and oh, things show up, right? It's all in the programming, right?
Yeah.
And that got you thinking. It's like you can put anything in a program, and you can put it in an app. And that was like literally, you read, and a light will come up on your phone, and you move your phone around until you found the ghost. So it was for fun. It was fun, right? But it was the torture museum. Yeah.
The Torture Museum? Where was
Yeah.
this?
St. Augustine.
Oh, okay. I remember when you guys went to Florida for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was fun. Like, yeah, you
I
can find
missed
ghosts,
that.
but that's technology is great, but also again, it lends to all kinds of interesting things that people can do with them.
Gotcha.
Absolutely.
I had another question, but I immediately lost it when you said the Torture Museum.
That does do it. Well, we're starting to get up to a closing point, but I did definitely want to ask, since we have had the pleasure to go on a few investigations with you. It is a new year. This is our first time gathering up in the new year. So, are there any investigations coming up, or any plans in the works that you are excited for, or most excited for, I should say?
Springs,
Yeah.
Sweet
Mm.
Springs, and
We agree on one thing that we want to
definitely
go this year.
So
And
no
it's
matter
gotta
what,
be
you're going this year.
Sweet Springs Sanatorium.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You guys should come with us.
I'm gonna try. If I can swing it, I'm gonna try.
And if maybe this year I would like to go back to Ohio State Reformatory, but we'll see how the
The
How the
big
year
ones.
goes.
All right. So even if you don't go during an investigation, there is a massive music fest that happens at the Ohio State Reformatory. Incarnate, I think is what it's called. It's like tattoos, music, and paranormal investigations at the Ohio State Reformatory.
Interesting.
Yeah.
interesting.
And then there's another one happening somewhere in Pennsylvania. I can't remember what it's called, but it's pretty dope.
Music, tattoos, and ghosts.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but close by, I mean, close enough, we can go to a Civil War battlefield. I'm really
Yeah.
excited to go.
Oh,
to
yeah.
those.
I am down. I literally am trying to contact absolutely everybody that I can for us to go on as many investigations as we can afford to.
Yes, sir.
Because, I mean, even though sometimes you might sit in a dark room for 3 hours and not get anything, it's still a very fun.
It is fun.
It's a fun hobby. It's a fun job. You know, it's something that you can do, even if you ain't got a lot of money.
Yeah.
Hey, that money helps, but you don't have
Money
to have it.
True.
Money helps.
I feel like that's a metaphor for life. Yeah, money helps, but
Yeah.
it's not always required.
Yeah.
But what is required is to give you guys a big round of thanks for coming on in. This has been our first Phantom Files of the year.
Before we go, where on social media can everybody find you?
We're getting
Instagram,
yeah.
TikTok, Facebook, everything.
Yeah, we got mostly all our evidence is in TikTok and in Instagram.
Okay.
So TikTok is angel.ghost.chaser. And
Angel.ghost.chaser.
Yeah.
And your
then
Instagram?
Durham NC Paranormal.
Durham
In
NC
YouTube.
Paranormal. Awesome. And I know you have a YouTube as well, right? Or am I
Oh,
wrong?
yes. It's the
Okay.
same.
Okay.
Durham NC
Duran and
Paranormal.
Paranormal.
Awesome. We will make sure to basically post your links at the bottom of the doobly doo when we're
Yeah.
ready to
Links
post
in the
this.
description and all of that good stuff. So
Awesome.
it has been wonderful, guys. Thank you, and thank you for dealing with the technical difficulties.
No
But we are
problem.
so glad to have you on here, and thank you for being first and foremost our friends, and second
Thanks
of
for
all,
having us.
it has been wonderful.
Thank you
I'll
guys for
teach
being
him
our
how to
guests.
read a little hard later.
Hey, don't worry about it. I'll get you guys some stickers when they come in on Monday.
There you go.
Yes.
You
Thank
cut
you,
those out
guys.
into a heart.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Y'all have a